Hey, I thought we'd talk about this because everybody's talking about it. What Sony said recently that they're going to stop making discs in January 2028. And Hypnotic talked about this, others talked about it. But what this is, and we have to go back when computers had hard drive that had the ability to play DVDs and games. You insert them into a disk drive and everything, and you could play that. Then all of a sudden, those went away. Computers don't have those anymore. You can get an external one, but they got rid of physical ability to play your games through your computers. Now it's all online, digital through Steam, GOG, Games Planet, and Itch.io. Yeah. So yeah, you have that. Then with Steam, those guys have no platform. They can be and you can be on. Well, GOG is they are working on Linux. GOG said they are working on moving it over to Linux. So because Linux is open source and Windows is closed source, like with the Steam machine, the reason it's cost so much is Gabe did an interview where he said that the companies make RAM told him either you buy it at this price or we're never going to talk to you. So he's forced to buy it, and that's another reason why the Steam machine, that is not a console, it is a Steam machine, is costing over $1,000 for anybody wondering. But here, somebody said, what Microsoft said about their Xbox One, that it would not play, it would only be online. It'd be digital, not disc. And that bit them in the ass and made the Xbox One not do very well and also the stupid Kinect. But here, Sony's getting roasted. And so it's saying Sony confirmed starting January 2028, it will permanently halt the production of physical game discs for new PlayStation releases. They're also closing down PS5. I think there's and Nvidia, their handheld their stores. What's going on is, and really look at what's happened with GTA 6. The game is going to cost, if you want the full game right at launch, and it's only going to be on consoles, it's going to cost you $100. At first they said 80, and then they pulled out a bunch of stuff that was made for the game. And they said, now if you want this content, which is really from the game, pay us $100. And it's only online. Then they claim, we don't know. No, there will never, and I honestly agree with Hypnotic on this. There's not going to be a physical disc. You're not getting any more. And remember when Nintendo said this with the Switch 2. Nintendo fanboys, when they were pre-ordering the Nintendo Switch 2, they turned around and said, for the Mario game, it's only going to have a code, a downloadable code. What? No cartridge. Also, with the Switch 2, why I can't stand Nintendo, well, besides the fact they sued Palworld, is the fact that they were bricking people's consoles for even playing a Switch 1 game. You can't play a Switch 1 game on Switch 2, people. And you can't, if you buy a used one, you get your and you can never get a new one. You can never get your account back. It's gone forever. This is what Nintendo said. So they were basically, yeah. So if you wanted the disc later, the cartridge, you had to wait and then buy it. Physically go to the store and buy it. Or order it off of Amazon. But here things, Sony, Microsoft wants to do this. That's why they created the Game Pass. They put most of the games right on the Game Pass. What the Xbox, what the Series X is, it's supposed to make you think of a PC. That's the way it was designed. They want you to think PC. Now Helix, their new one, is going to, I saw something where they said that they're going to have Steam on there, so you can play your Steam games on your Xbox Helix, if that's what it's going to be called. So they're already talking about making it so that you can get the app for Steam and play your games on there, so you don't need the Steam machine. That's what they said. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but Windows will, the only thing, I have an Xbox, and I'm not one of these fanboys. I have PC too. That's what I'm on. And I moved mine over to Linux Mint, and I have games for it. I have movies. I use it mainly for my DVDs, Blu-rays. which I still collect and everything. And I have a game that it's also backwards compatible, unlike the PS5. Yeah, the Pro is a little it is stronger than the original PlayStation 5, which they said was weaker than the Xbox. And Microsoft, most likely, like all of them, are going to get rid of physical media. But Sony outright said 2028, when probably the new PS6, which is going to be expensive, is going to come out. I think all the new consoles are going to, except for, of course, Switch. Switch 2 will still be, where it is. But PS5, PS6, and Xbox Helix, we don't know what it looks like or anything about it yet, will probably come out in 2028 when they're going to stop printing where you're no longer going to get discs. And I know people are saying online, with what just happened to Sony, where they lost the contract with Studio Canal, so these people lost all these movies. Here's the thing, on Steam and on GOG, if you buy the game, you own it. Even if it gets removed, they don't remove it. Now, the problem with everything else, and this includes Amazon, Apple said the same thing to Bruce Willis when he bought a bunch of music. You don't own the music. It's a license. So if you buy a movie off of YouTube, you don't own the movie, you own a license, which means they can take it away anytime. Same thing with Amazon. Same with music. That's the same thing here with Sony and Microsoft. You really don't own the game unless Microsoft comes out and they say, yeah, the games you buy, you actually own them. And I heard that Xbox might allow you to upload your games onto your online, so you don't have to. But the problem with games coming on disc, they don't have the whole game. Look at CD-RIP when they put out their last game. They didn't put the whole game on. You had to upload it. It was a buggy piece of shit. And then they had to update it online. So they're not going to put the whole game on the disc. So you're not getting it. Not like before, like when it was the PlayStation and then the original Xbox, all the way up to this one. When you had the game on the disc, that was it, the entire game. They didn't give you DLC later. You got the entire game. That's physical media. It's like a movie. When you get a movie with all the features, everything on that disc is everything. Now, they're not putting the entire game on discs. And they get expensive to print discs. Because, even though Sony created Blu-ray, it's expensive. So, but they're not going to lower the price. As you see with GTA 6, everything's getting expensive. So, yeah. And they're not going to reverse course, so get over it, people. Your days, and you're not going to have a digital online protection. You don't own like I said, with Steam and GOG, as far as I know, I think Games Planet, I think Itch.io, you own them. With Windows, you don't own shit. Unless Windows come out and says, yeah, we're going to let you keep your games that you buy online, that's different. That'd be this is the way Xbox could win the console, by coming out and saying that, yeah, if you buy a game online, you own it. Even if the game gets removed, you keep the game. Same thing with anything else you buy off their store. Now, Sony just outright said, they've been wanting to do this for a while. They don't want the second market, like where you can sell your games off. This is why the guy running GameStop is trying to buy eBay. He won't be able to buy it. He doesn't have the means, or no one's going to allow him to buy eBay. This is why he was actually trying to buy eBay, because he knows GameStop's going bye-bye. Because you're not going to get games on disc anymore. You're going to get codes to like when you buy the game. If you go into GameStop and you buy a game, you're not getting the disc anymore. You'll get a code to go back, install, go on your either what will it be? You either go to PlayStation Store where you'll put in the code, download the game. Also, they're going to raise the price. Like Xbox did initially with Game Pass, they raised it to $30 and then dropped down to $22.99 with the new CEO. The problem with the PlayStation is they're going to raise the price of the store, so it's going to cost you money. They want you to pay a monthly fee to play games, and that's why they're putting these games on the system in the game store on day one. And one thing about Microsoft, they're putting their games on. Because they put it on Steam. All their games will be on Steam. What they do is they put some of their games on PlayStation. One game is the new Gears of War. Will be console exclusive, but as far as it'll be on Steam, so you can go buy it on Steam. Now they have like I think it's called a director's cut of Gears of War. It's only available on Xbox. Now Halo's over on Steam and over on PlayStation. Well, here's the thing: when they do that, basically they get paid for that. It's kind of like Netflix. When Netflix streams they're not like from other companies. They have to pay for that. So what Sony does, they pay Microsoft to get the and if they sell it on their, some of that money goes back to Microsoft, as far as I understand how this works. Same thing with Nintendo. They will pay for the right to put any Microsoft game on their system. They have to pay for that because you license it from Microsoft. And so that's why if people think we're going to pirate it, I guarantee you they're already working on preventing that for you. So expect if you try to do that, they're going to come for you. That's just a fucking fact. So this whole thing, yeah, people are pissed. They're getting roasted by everyone. I'm not allowed to use Twitter, so I can't use it. But yeah, the fact that they said this, everyone remembers when Xbox, the guy running Expo, and when the Xbox One, he said, we're not going to be doing physical discs. People roasted him. PlayStation ended up winning that. Now, Microsoft hasn't said anything, but expect them to go the same route. But right now, if they were smart, seeing what Sony's doing, they said, yeah, we're going to still allow you to buy your games and everything. If they still went down this route of physical media, they would win. They'd win the console war outright. And they should consider that, because that's a way to make extra money. You're killing yourself off by only doing digital. I know it seems like expensive to put a discount, but trust me, you'll win more people over to you. Because if they said, yeah, I think I'll get a console, they would get Xbox, the new one, if they knew you were going to still continue hard physical media. That means like games and stuff. Because, well, the problem is, like I said, the games aren't all completely get the disc, so you're not really getting the full game. You have to get DLC later and all that, so you're not getting the whole game anymore, like it used to be. So there's no reason to make discs. And so with GTA 6, there are so many people that'll buy the game, pay $100, and then later they'll hit them with actual DLC, and then you'll pay the monthly fee to either Sony or Xbox to play it online on their system, because that's where it's only going to be available for at least 2 years before they put it on Steam. So they're going to make it, because they want people to want this. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to buy it at $100 so they can play everything, because all that stuff isn't even DLC. It's just stuff they made for the game and decided to pull a fast one and say, we can take this out and make you pay us that extra $20. And people are going to do it. I don't play GTA. I'm not even into GTA. But I know there's enough people like fanboys who, no matter what, will suck these companies' dick. I have an Xbox, but I ain't gonna suck Microsoft's dick. I don't even have my Xbox right now, so I canceled my Game Pass right now because I'm not using it. And you still have your Game Pass account. You just don't have access to all the stuff. So I can always start it up again if I want to. I'm not like what Microsoft's doing. Don't get me wrong. I have an Xbox X because of Series X. Doesn't mean I'm sucking in Microsoft data. Most of my games I buy now are on Steam or GOG. And I bought one game on Games Planet. But once GOG moves over to Linux, I'll be much happier. And my games, I've had trouble with the whole way they are now because Windows being closed source. It's hard I have to talk to the guy. He's busy with something else right now. But eventually I'll get my new PC, have him upload everything, put Linux Mint on there, and make it so, because I don't care about the Game Pass, I have it, but fix the whole thing with, OBS. OBS does work. I need to have him fix the whole recording thing on it, so it works better, and so with Rumble and the other sites I use that I can actually upload my videos, because right now that's not working. And so, yeah, but Linux works a lot better than Windows. Open source is, a much better system. And that's why, because Steam is an open source, it works better on an open source instead of closed source. That's why people struggle with OBS. OBS is open source. That's why it's called OBS. It struggles on Windows closed source system. It's like Apple. Apple's closed source. I looked that up. But here, they don't want you to own anything. And so everybody's roasting them, and rightfully so, because they're doing the wrong thing. Instead of, and this is why Sony probably not going to, people are not going to buy the new system. People are talking about buying PC. They were saying this on Hypnotic. Because of this, because a lot of them are fanboys, some are still going to buy no matter what Sony does. They're so addicted to Sony, they can't see anything else. And so, and as Hypnotic said, Steam is not platformed. They're not on a platform. They're on Windows, they're on Linux Mint, they're on Apple, I think, but they're not platformed. And that's like the Steam machine. It's not a platform. And Steam is doing very well, by the way. But here's the thing, PlayStation is going to suffer this. Because and I'm not a big PlayStation fan. Hell, I can live without. I got rid of my Nintendo when I saw what they were doing to people over the Switch too. And suing for power and everything. But Steam puts their games on sale. Not all of them. They do sales in the summer, winter, everything. So you get several times a year to buy. They do even a spring sale. So they do spring, summer, and winter, in December, they do these sales where they put games at cheap, so you can buy them, and you do own them. So and so I want to talk about that really quick because this was something, and Sony's being dumb. They're doing what Microsoft did with the Xbox One, and it cost them. And now Sony's they're going to find out. They're not going to walk this back, and this is all part of the government. The Palantir runs the World Economic Forum. This whole thing of you will own nothing and enjoy it. You'll rent everything. That's why the streaming sites, and this really picked up in when the pandemic happened, when they had everybody stay at home and not go to theaters and do streaming. And this is why Disney started a streaming site. And then you had the original streaming was Netflix, you had Hulu, and you had Amazon. Those are three sites. Apple, I don't know if Apple had a streaming site, but those are the three main ones. Then Disney said, hey, we're going to do ours. Warner Brothers did it. Then you had Comcast did it. The only one that didn't do it was Sony. Smart move. They decided they're not going to do a streaming. They put theirs on Netflix and they pay for that. Then so it's smarter not to create your own streaming site. Just make Netflix pay you for the right to stream your stuff. And that's a smart thing. So, in theaters, and this is something a lot of people don't understand, they don't care if the movie fails in theaters. They don't. Because the more you talk about Supergirl, that's what they look at. They go, the attention it's getting, even though the movie doesn't do well in theaters, it'll do well on the streaming. And with Paramount, nothing's really going to change. They're going to keep doing this stuff. You're going to get, you have back rooms they put it back in theaters with extra footage after the movie's over, which I'm going to go see. You have Bleach, 1,000 Year Blood War, The Calamity, which is the first 3 episodes. I've seen it multiple times. They're really good. You're about to have Evil Dead Burn from the director of Infestation. That's on Shudder. Oh my God! Talk about a spider movie that'll give you the creeps. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that. And then, of course, you have Willy Wonka coming back in August. And then my birthday, 28th of August, you have Coyote versus Acme. And you also have The Colony, the South Korean zombie film coming out. It looks good. I can't wait till, there's a lot coming. And to theaters. Young people really like going to watch movies. But the thing is, they don't care if they fail because they have the streaming sites. You have Amazon, they're going to make a sequel to Master of the Universe, and they're going to make Gem and the Holograms. The sequel will go on their streaming site. Warner Brothers doesn't care if the movie flops, they'll put it on the streaming site. They use these actresses, they throw them out there, they don't tell them how to deal with the media, and they don't care if they mess up. The movie, to them, if it makes any money, they can write this shit off. They write tax write-offs, corporate tax write-offs for anything, and they can write it off. It's a business expenditure. That's how they can write most of their debt off. So, and this is just another corporate thing, and you're not going to get a digital online. You didn't really own it, so therefore they can take it away. Just like what happened with Sony. They literally lost a license and 500 movies got removed because Studio Canal, they forgot to renew the And now they're shutting down the store here. They're shutting down 2 stores. Everything's going to be, you're going to come here, you're going to pay more for it to play the games. Microsoft has 2 things. Xbox has 2 things. They have the Game Pass on both console and PC. Now I'm on Windows, so I can't use their Game Pass on Windows, but I do have an Xbox. And I'm not going to suck their dick and say, oh, this is great what they're doing. I think it's shit. See, I can own something and say, yeah, the company's shit. But I think, Microsoft could turn around the new CEO and say, okay, we're going to keep putting out physical media for games and everything, And the fact that there's going to be a bloodbath of companies being shut down, they're restructuring the Microsoft has a lot of stuff. I don't know why they bought all these companies, but they're, Activision. That's another thing. Let's look at this, because Blizzard is going after companies for private servers. Blizzard. Yeah, this is what's going on. Yeah. Blizzard takes down private, yeah. Blizzard sues to kill private, yeah. And the reason they're doing this is these private servers are using their IP, which is the World of Warcraft. And they didn't get permission. And they even admit they didn't have permission to stream this. So that's why Blizzard's winning, taking all these big servers down. And don't think it won't be you that pays too. Project Ascension admits they didn't have permission to do this. They did it without asking, Blizzard if they could do it. And so Blizzard comes along and says, oh, you're big, we're going to take you down. And we're going to take everything you did, and now it's our property. Yeah. Early this year, this is why this whole thing. Earlier this year, the private World of Warcraft server Turtle WoW announced it would shut down after Blizzard served a cease and desist, filed a copyright infringement suit. Second verse came as the first Project Ascension, a different private server project with several realms, is the subject of a new suit filed last Friday. Thanks, Aftermath. Okay. The defendants have built an entire business on large-scale, egregious, and ongoing infringement of Blizzard's intellectual property, the complaint reads, noting that Ascension is among the largest private servers available today with over 1 million players. If you're unfamiliar with the fan server, it is a modded, classless, free-to-play version of the game where you stitch together existing and custom spells to fashion unique playlist styles. Build the character of your dream. Website beckons. It's also looks like there's a different project in development which adds new ideas of World of Warcraft class incarnation, not unlike Turtle WoW or Sacred thing Blizzard seems to be working. Yeah. So this is why they're doing this. They are going to, and so as similar to Turtle WoW, the server allowed players to buy in-game items with donation points. The complaint alleges this has made the Project Ascension team millions of dollars. The complaint also says the game's private servers are hosted on bulletproof servers associated with Russian-based as a group, which the U.S. Department of Treasury has targeted for enabling cyber crimes and technology theft, an association with which alleges signals willful intent to engage in unlawful activities. While the team behind Turtle WoW initially urged Blizzard to consider an official license and framework for a fan server, no public word has come from Project Ascension just yet. Fans of the server are not hopeful. Well, we're fucked. One unread. Right, yeah. Blizzard wins injunctions against vanilla World of Warcraft private server, Turtle World, yeah. So, yeah. User thinks, yeah. So basically what's happening is they're taking them down because they're coming up with a new game and you're not allowed, they never asked for permission. So, yeah. And so essentially what's going on is that you didn't ask for permission, so they're coming after you. And that's essentially what this is. You can't use someone else's IP without their permission. You didn't get permission, you started this, they waited till you got big, and now they're taking you out. Blizzard Entertainment continue, against private World of Warcraft servers. The company filed a new law, we already know this, infringement, and these companies don't have permission to use this. That's the whole thing. And this story is absolutely illegal as shit. I mean, what they're doing is, Blizzard does the same thing. When they see it big, they take it down. So that's what's going on here. Blizzard is going after any server that's big that can, that steals their intellectual property. So, So there's that. I just want to cover these things real quick. This is Gilgamesh. I will talk to you later. Bye.